Hello everybody, it's Kara from Wild Book Garden, and today I'm here with a spoiler-free review for The Beautiful Ones by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. So this book has been out of print for a while, but it is now re-released in this beautiful paperback edition, and spoiler alert, I loved it. If you've already seen my wrap-up, then you know that, but I really love this book, so I wanted to do a spoiler-free review to talk about it, and to talk about specifically what I love about it, and hopefully to help you decide if it's something that you might be interested in, because like most or all of Silvia Moreno-Garcia's books, I think it's a very specific flavor of book, and so I just wanted to talk about it. So this is a historical fantasy, although it's not a specific time period or location, it just kind of has a historical flavor, and the fantasy element is pretty light, so I feel like this would maybe be a good bridge book for people who either read historical fiction or read fantasy and they're looking to get into kind of both together. And we're following three different perspective characters primarily. One of them is Nina, and she's going to the city of Loisel for the season. I think the grand season is what they call it. And she's expected to find a good match, you know, to be a beautiful, charming debutante, but that's not really what she's interested in. Her father didn't really raise her to be interested in that, to be good at that, and she has no interest in it. And then one of our other main characters is Hector Avray, and he has come back in town as an entertainer. He has a magical ability that helps him be really good at doing basically magic tricks, and he's a performer. And Nina also has an ability as well, although she's not very good at controlling it, and this also makes her kind of extra a social outcast. And then our third main character is Valerie, and she is Nina's cousin, and she is very different. She did make a successful marriage. She's beautiful, she's charming when she wants to be. She really doesn't like Nina, and her and Hector have a history together. And Hector starts courting Nina to get closer to Valerie, but of course things get really complicated when people's feelings get involved and start changing. And yeah, I loved this book so much. I will also list content warnings in the description box, so please check those out if you would like to. I can see why it is kind of hit or miss for people, like this author's books tend to be in general. But obviously they really work for me. I have enjoyed all the things I read from her, and I think this is one of my favorites. Everyone who said that I would love this book is 100% correct. Yeah, so I'll start with the writing. Silvia Moreno-Garcia's writing is just so clear and smooth and like flowing. It's very pleasant to read, and I really love the way that she can set atmosphere and characters and dialogue and like setting and all of this without going overboard with descriptions. I'm not like a big fan of super flowery language, or I feel like I'm pretty picky about it at least, so I don't necessarily love when a book's atmosphere is dependent on pages and pages of descriptions, and she doesn't do that, and I think she still gives you a great sense of who these characters are, what this world is like, so I really loved that personally. I was also so compelled by our main characters. I think they were written brilliantly. I think Silvia Moreno-Garcia just does a fantastic job at writing characters that you understand, even if you don't always like them. Like Valerie is a great example of that. Even though she is really frustrating, she does some horrible things, makes some horrible choices, I still feel a little sympathy for her, and I still understand her, and I still want to keep reading about her. Because that's the thing that I feel like this author excels at, or one of the things, is sometimes there are characters where it's like, I understand where you're coming from, but I hate every time you're in the book. And this author's characters are never like that for me, and I have a hard time explaining why, but I just think she was really well done. I love Nina with my whole heart and soul. I just loved her. I think I was like less than 10 pages into this book when I updated Goodreads and said that anyone who tries, like I would fight anyone who tries to hurt Nina, because I just loved her. And something that I think is impressive about this book is that Nina is a little bit in the not like other girls mold, but it didn't drive me up the wall, because we know that's one of my least favorite tropes. And I think the reason it didn't upset me with Nina is because to me it felt like this was more a commentary on how girls in her society were usually raised, rather than like, oh, she's the only girl who's worthy or intelligent or anything. So like, you know, I'm very sensitive to that trope, and I personally feel like it was handled in a way that was very intentional. Like even though Nina and some of the other characters kind of like use that language or that perspective on her, to me it felt like that was a commentary on the society and the treatment of girls. Like, it is a tragedy that more girls aren't raised with the freedom that Nina had, and so I just really appreciated that distinction. I also really loved Hector. Like, he actually made the book boyfriend shelf, you guys. I just loved him so much. Like, I love how romantic he is. He's one of those characters who like is he has way more of a heart than he wants to admit to himself, and like seeing him realize that was just great. I loved his and Nina's interactions so much, like the tension between them, the little moments. Like I love a good romantic subplot, and I just love books that build a relationship that like gets you so excited when it's like nothing really big happens. It's like they like touched hands or something, or like the first time they dance at the beginning, and it's just like absolutely just fantastic and romantic. Like basically that like you're overwhelmed at how romantic it is, even though they haven't really been doing that much. I love a book that can do that convincingly, and I feel like this book did. And just the relationships in general I think were incredibly complex and interesting and messy. This book also has a very like heightened tone and sense of drama. I think that's another thing that maybe wouldn't work for everyone, because it's not over dramatic in a way that is bad or that feels like poorly written or anything. I don't know if I would even say overly dramatic. It just, again, it feels very intense. The emotions feel very heightened, as I was saying, and I think that also makes sense because of like Nina, for example, when she gets upset because she's never had training for her magic, that it kind of makes it go haywire. And like the intense emotions of these characters in this book combined with the kind of restrained time period and societal rules, I think that makes this just feel kind of larger than life in a way that I really enjoyed, but you know, everybody might not. And then also going back to the characters for a minute, I think some of the supporting characters were also really great. And with the characters overall, I think that there are some things that happen near the end, some developments that I think some readers wouldn't feel was justified, and I can see why, but for me it felt really in line with who the characters were. Like it felt like a believable progression for me, but that's another aspect that is, you know, your mileage may vary, but obviously it worked for me. And then like I was saying with the writing, I just really loved like the setting and the atmosphere, and the way that that was communicated so well without like really, you know, beating you over the head with it. I just really love this book. It's like such a fantastic romantic fantasy, and I love these characters. I thought the relationships were well done. I love the writing. Like this book really got me in my heart. I was like very emotionally invested, as Mariana, my buddy reader, knows, and also Julia, because I was telling her what was happening too, because she had read this recently. So I just was a huge fan of this book. I also think it's really interesting in terms of the progression of the story, because I feel like this book is more about the characters and relationships and kind of the vibes than like a strong specific plot arc. But it also feels like it moves pretty quickly, and I think that's partly due to the writing style, and also just because I think these relationships are just really compelling. Although I will say, because the plot isn't a big focus, if you aren't super invested in the characters, you probably wouldn't get on well with this one. Like I feel like this is one of those books that you really have to like the leads in order to be interested in the story. So probably if you're looking for a lot of like plot and action, this is not for you. But anyway, I hope this was useful, maybe, or at least interesting. Let me know if you have also read The Beautiful Ones, if you also enjoyed it, or let me know if you're going to pick it up. I obviously loved it, and I, of course, gave The Beautiful Ones 5 stars. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you soon with another video, and I hope you love the next book you read. Bye!